Hello, everyone. Welcome to another exciting commentary podcast. I am Captain Logan.
And I'm Jayson.
Jayson, what are you doing here, man?
Well, I wanted to make a commentary with you today.
Cool. So that's what we're doing.
I'm in this time.
We are going to watch the Lego Movie.
Yep.
And this commentary was suggested and requested by Kodiak Sanders on Patreon.
Who's that guy?
He's one of our patrons. He's one of our awesome, cool patrons. And he is on a Patreon tier that allows you to request commentaries. And we haven't done his for this year yet, so we're going to go ahead and knock out the Lego Movie. And I thought, Jayson today was like, hey, Dad, I want to do a commentary. And I was like, well, you're in luck because I've got one I really need to do on a movie that you know pretty well.
Yes.
And so I got it's just me and Jayson today talking about the Lego Movie.
Yep.
This came out in 2014. Mm-hmm. Do you remember seeing this in the theater?
Yes.
Because you would have only been 4 at the time, yeah? Mm-hmm. Or 5, pushing 5?
Yeah.
Yeah. And, of course, this was one of your favorite movies.
Yes.
And remains one of your favorite movies.
Mm-hmm.
Do you like this or Lego Batman movie more, or can you not really put one ahead of the other?
I think the Lego Movie more because it
Really?
has more characters.
Or at least more non-Batman related characters.
Yeah.
I mean, Batman. The Lego Batman movie has a ton of characters.
And it has
Certainly.
Michelangelo in it.
That's true. Just before Lego dropped or lost the license. I'm not totally sure what happened with that, but Lego no longer makes Ninja Turtles Lego sets.
Yeah.
That is Mega Bloks now. Mega Bloks has done some fantastic things with it. Unfortunately, they don't seem to be selling all that well. But they made sets for a lot of different iterations of Ninja Turtles. They did the original Mirage stuff, the black and white stuff. And I have some of those.
Oh.
And they did the 87 cartoon. They have a fabulous Technodrome. They have like a $500 Technodrome.
Cool.
It's awesome. They have the Krang bodysuit.
Ooh.
And then, of course, they did some stuff for the 2012 show.
Yes.
And I don't know if they're still making those, but I think they still have that license. I know those sets are still on the shelves in some Toys R Us's right now and stuff. But it was interesting that this movie had Michelangelo in it because it was, for a very brief time, they had the license. And they made a few things, and I guess they didn't do real well because immediately after that, very shortly after this, they lost or dropped the license.
Yeah.
So anyway, let's go ahead and get into it, shall we? If you want to watch the Lego Movie with us, make sure to get your DVD, your Blu-ray, however you want to watch it. Get it past all the menus to timestamp 0, and get ready to press play when I say now. Jayson, when was the last time you saw this movie?
Probably in 2015 sometime.
Okay, that's very specific. So just a couple years ago.
Yeah, a couple years ago.
But you've seen this a lot.
Mm-hmm.
You know this movie really well.
Yes.
Ready to talk about it?
Mm-hmm.
All right, here we go. Everybody, please press play right now. So this was a movie that when it was advertised, I thought looked like a really fun idea. I thought it might be a sleeper hit. I didn't expect it to be the phenomenon that it was. And when we first got trailers for it, I think a lot of people, really expected it to be entirely stop motion. That's what it looked like. And was really surprised when we saw it that it turned out to be this, like combination thing, or not even a combination thing, because I don't think they're actually doing any stop motion at all in this. I think it's entirely computer generated, but they're trying to make it appear like it's stop motion. And of course, it looks very different than a lot of the other animated Lego things, which are done in straight up computer generated animation, and they don't have this kind of claymation-esque style where the movement is real kind of jumpy and jagged, because it's supposed to feel like it's supposed to create the illusion like a kid is playing with the toys, and that's that's the reason that this movie, as opposed to every other Lego thing we had done before this, is in that style. It's because there's a kid behind it all.
Oh.
And that point of view idea, that POV is my favorite thing about this movie, and I will probably talk ad nauseum, and some folks will probably get really tired of me talking about that, but that is the neatest idea in this movie.
Cool. Yeah, I like the Vitruvius gets blind.
And do you know who voices Vitruvius?
No.
That's Morgan Freeman.
What?
You didn't know that was Morgan Freeman?
Mm-mm. And I love that guy.
It's crazy how much has happened in just 3 years, because this was my, as well as a lot of people's, introduction to Chris Pratt. Didn't know who that was before this. Same year Guardians comes out. He had a huge year that year.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, you know who Chris Pratt is in this.
Yes.
Who's Chris Pratt in this?
Emmett.
Emmett, right. Mm-hmm. Specifically 8.5 years later. And again, we get a lot of fun little clues that there's a kid putting this together. And at first, in the theater, I thought the idea was it was trying to sort of simulate the like toy playing experience where there's a kid behind it and he's arbitrarily making up things like, I guess 8.5 years went by and he's using all like things that are in his in the room that he's playing with, like the super glue and things like that, to create this world. But I didn't expect it in the third act to go as far as to actually reveal that there is specifically a kid and give him a worldview, and that all the social commentary we're doing at the beginning of this is actually more about his personal life than it really is about the world at large. But of course, that somewhat, I'm sure, informs his ideas and also the ideas of the filmmakers.
Mm-hmm. This intro is really funny. I mean, this Emmett thing is really funny.
I love how often we manage to get the croissant in there. The Lego croissant is one of the most random things, and I love it. A lot of these Lego things, the video and film things, like to play around with all the random Lego foods.
Mm-hmm.
It's Taco Tuesday.
Yeah, it's my favorite. I love the show. It's my favorite show. My favorite TV thing in this movie.
Well, it's kind of the big TV thing in the
right.
movie, of course, and it's making fun of catchphrases on television and trying to milk one gag for all it's worth, and kind of brainwashing people to think something is great and hilarious that really doesn't have any substance. It's real superficial. It's exactly the same thing, and you haven't seen this because you're not old enough yet, but it's exactly the same thing as I'd buy that for $1 in RoboCop.
Mm.
And of course, the Everything Is Awesome song is also that way. We have, with all these different things that President Business is perpetuating in order to kind of control people and make the world exactly what he wants it to be, which has, again, these really scary connotations for the world at large, and then at the end we're going to find out that that's all really just about a kid and his dad. And a kid who feels like this macrocosm kind of becomes this real intimate, small idea of just a dad who is kind of oppressing his kid and trying to make everything, trying to make his kid just like him, and trying to make everything about just his own vision. And he forgets that his kid has his own ideas, and that he needs to be nurtured in creating his the things that he wants to make out of whatever is there already,
right.
To work on his imagination.
Mm. Yeah, the building thing is really funny, because because the boss is like, hand me this thing.
This is one of those movies that is incredibly layered and is you can watch on a lot of different levels. And a lot of the things I'm talking about right now, Jason, for our audience at large, are things that I think you'll appreciate more when you get older. So like the Everything Is Awesome song, when you're a kid, is just a fun, silly song. And again, the implications of it when you get older are actually a little bit kind of scary, because the idea is you've got kind of corporate America trying to sell you everything and trying to get you to not be an individual and not think for yourself.
Yeah.
And then, of course, it ends up being a really optimistic message by the end. And I like the kind of human condition in, this is going to sound so silly, but the human condition in these other minifigs where Emmett is trying to be just like everybody else. He's been totally brainwashed by this world, this president business, micromanaging, and that's why we have the micromanagers, micromanaging world, and all the people that he works with don't like him because he doesn't have his own thoughts and ideas, and he has to have instructions to do everything.
Yeah.
And I just thought that was so thoughtful and creative in taking the Lego instructions and making that kind of a metaphor for the mundanity of life, of people, something official telling you how things are supposed to be, and so you always do it that way.
Yeah. This is the funniest part.
I just laughed and laughed and laughed all the way through this in the theater.
Really?
Yeah, I could not stop losing it throughout this movie.
Yeah, me too.
I like that in that little two-dimensional bit where he's dropping down into the underground here.
Yeah.
You immediately get a sense that the world is larger and that there's this kind of Lego multiverse.
Yeah.
Because we see... Is that supposed to be part of Cloud Cuckoo Land? Is that the idea? Is if he had kept going that way, he would have ended up in Cloud Cuckoo Land? Or is it just like another happy-go-lucky looking kind of world?
I do not know.
Because the idea is that they're all connected.
Right.
It's so interesting. Touch the peas.
Yeah. I like this part too.
So, Jason, what is it that sticks with you about this movie and that makes you go back to it over so many other movies?
Just it has like so many characters.
And just a variety of different kinds of characters?
Yeah.
Is this what got you into Lego building?
Yes.
Or, because I can't remember. I think you were young enough, you didn't really have any Lego sets before this.
Yeah.
And I think Lego sets have been really good for you, because Jason is a really kind of academic kid.
Yes.
And isn't, I don't think, that, not to put too fine a point on it, but so far, mechanical stuff isn't exactly your forte. Like, that's not and isn't your favorite thing most of the time.
Yeah.
I mean, you're not as much of a puzzle kid as you are like a reading kid. Right? And, it's kind of, so having like the step-by-step instructions with Legos, I think has helped you get better at mechanical things.
Yes. And and it's cool that they have those instructions in this movie too.
Mm-hmm. And then you, from there, get more comfortable, like, creating your own things. Using your imagination,
right.
putting more things together.
Yeah.
And this is Liam Neeson.
Oh.
Who is hysterical.
Yeah, it is. It really is.
The bit where his parents' faces get erased is legitimately super sad.
Yeah.
It's nuts the ways in which this movie tugs on the heartstrings.
Right.
And it makes these fictional characters, within a real world, because you actually see the kid and his dad at the end. It has some really, and we'll talk about this later, but it has some really interesting things to say about the life that that we kind of imbue in characters in our imagination, where if they become real to us and we become invested in them, sometimes it's almost as if they really exist. Like it becomes difficult to draw the line between reality and fiction, because we know that they're not real, but we care about them sometimes almost in the same way that we would care about real people. Like it's able to affect us in that way. And so it's cool that, like, within the context of the super goofy Lego world, I already will sometimes find things really heartfelt and heart-wrenching, and then I get to the end and I see that these characters have come alive because of a real person, still inside of a fictional world, of course, and it just makes me think a lot about fictional characters and when I care and why I care, and how my imagination, along with, of course, the imagination of whoever creates them, something about that combination makes them become real to me.
Yeah.
I love the absurd prices of things.
Yeah.
I mean, this is a totalitarian state. Like, a president business is able to charge inordinate amounts of money for things. He's keeping down the little guy, and it's like Lego 1984, and it's absolutely brilliant.
Yeah. I love the melting chamber.
Yeah, and if you're a Lego, that's mortifying, of course.
Yes. It's
cool
really
because you see this kid go to, like, the darkest depths of his own imagination.
Yeah.
This is a movie that I think some people still kind of write off as just a silly kids movie, and it obviously is a really good kids movie and a good family film. But it has so many interesting things to say, and it pushes some envelopes.
Mhm. Yeah.
I said when this came out that I still stand by this, that it's as good as the best Pixar movies. I go that far. And I think I said it was the best Pixar movie Pixar didn't make in 10 years.
Yeah.
We do this gag again in Lego Batman.
Yeah.
It's starting to wear a little thin. I'm kind of hoping that... Look, another croissant.
Yeah.
I'm kind of hoping that we don't do it yet again in the Ninjago movie.
Yeah.
Which is a thing I never thought I would care about, but I love these so much. I'm very excited about that. That comes out, I think, in November.
Yay.
That'll date this commentary.
Cool.
But because it's in this style, because it's another one of these, and is technically in the same world as these this multiverse that kids have kind of created, I will totally go see that. Although I think it's really silly that it's called the Lego Ninjago movie, because that's really redundant, and it's already Lego, because Ninjago is a Lego thing.
Yeah. I like Wyatt Strayer's first appearance because she's looking for something. I can't remember what it
she's trying to find the special.
Oh.
And she thinks that that's Emmett, of course.
Right.
And I really like that idea that, of course, he's the least special person there is.
Yeah.
He has to discover his specialness.
Yeah. The motorcycle is great.
Do you have that motorcycle? I know you have something with Wild Style, don't you?
It was Lego Dimensions.
Oh, okay. Okay, but I know you have... And, of course, the piece of resistance is a hysterical play on words. But you've got some Lego sets from this movie, don't you?
Yes.
I know you've got the... I know you've got Business's Lair.
Yeah.
Which is really fun.
Mm-hmm. But, I need to rebuild it and find all the pieces.
Okay.
And
do you ever take pieces from Lego sets and build your own original things out of them?
Yes.
Do you? That's kind of the point of this whole movie, is that it's okay to do that. And I just love a company making children's building toys, making a big budget movie that makes that statement, that says we have instructions if you want to make it look just like the thing it's supposed to be, but you can play with it any way you want to.
Yeah.
The point is customization. The point is imaginative play.
Yeah.
Create your own worlds. That is so important for childhood development.
Yeah.
I think Fred Rogers would have loved this movie.
Yeah.
Because he had this philosophy about childhood development that kids need to not be too restricted in their thinking when they're playing. So he was a little unsure, and of course this is the real early days of video games. He was real unsure about video games. He didn't think they were necessarily bad, but he was afraid that if kids played video games too much, they were playing with what is essentially a toy that is linear and constrictive and doesn't let you bring enough of yourself to it. There's only one way to play it, really. And he was a little bit concerned about that. And I'm sure these kinds of building toys he might have been a little bit bothered by if he thought that kids were trapped in a box. And I just love that this movie comes out and says, no, you dump the box out and you have all the pieces and you can build it our way. They always have 3, right? We have 2 other ways you can build it too. And you can also do whatever you want with it.
Yeah.
And I also like what this movie has to say about about playing versus collecting.
Yeah. I do not remember this place. Actually...
The Western place? Yeah, of course. Where are we? We're in the Old West. I like to think that the kid actually builds those logos out of Legos. And if you think about how this movie unfolds and the pacing, but everything this kid has to be building, it must have taken him hours and hours and hours in his own head to create the hour and 40 minutes movie minus part of the ending that we're watching.
Yeah. I love the Old West.
Have you seen many Westerns yet? I feel like that's not really a genre you've dived much into.
No.
Is the Old West like a period and a setting you have much of a sense of?
Yeah. I love the Emmett suit.
Yeah?
Yeah.
It's very funny. We play around with the Old West setting in LEGO Dimensions with Back to the Future 3.
Oh.
And it's really fun. There's a section in the story where we go to the Old West, and then we do some fun Back to the Future 3 stuff, but also just generically the Old West. But then the actual open world dimension for Back to the Future has the 3 time periods, and one of them is the Old West.
Yeah.
If you'll recall.
Mm-hmm. I actually don't know how to get to the Old West, because I can't find the other...
Okay, I'll help you find it at some point. See, we're in his head right now, and we're getting a sense of what he hears when he's not listening to her. Because he's, again, very superficial and not paying enough attention to things, and is very oblivious.
Yeah.
And just likes her because she's super cute and is able to do lots of cool action-y things. And is a master builder.
And is serious every...
She's very serious.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. To a fault, right?
Yes. Every minute.
I love the gag about how she's not a DJ. That's very funny.
Yeah.
She's kind of trying to figure out her own identity at the same time as he is, in a way, which is interesting. She's got a lot of confidence. She's sure of herself. She's very capable, but she's a little in denial about her own identity and reputation.
I love the Robo-bots.
Goes without saying, this is probably my favorite Will Ferrell role now. Will Ferrell hasn't always been my favorite actor. I don't like a lot of the projects he picks, or at least he was picking earlier on in his career. He is in a couple of my favorite movies. When he does more serious things, I tend to like him better. He's kind of like how a lot of people felt about Jim Carrey in the 90s, and of course I really liked his brand of comedy most of the time when I was a kid. Will Ferrell I didn't really latch on to, but I love Stranger Than Fiction. It's one of my favorite movies.
Yeah.
I'll have to show you that movie at some point.
Didn't he do Happy?
Happy, I don't know what that is.
In Minions?
I don't know.
Because I thought he did one of a Minions thing.
He's also in The Producers. He's hysterical in that.
Mm.
And I also, like a lot of people, like Elf quite a bit. Engaged dramatic entrance.
Mm.
I think it's kind of a stroke of genius to take a minifig and give him a face on one side and a face on the other side and play with a kind of dichotomy. Using two sides of a face to play with the duality of man. That's a lot of fun.
Yeah. Lord Business's suit is really cool.
Yeah, and it's fun that it's on stilts.
Yes.
Because he wants to feel like he's lording over everyone.
Yeah. He thinks he's a giant when he puts it on.
And I feel like the people making this movie are going back to their own childhoods. And, I mean, I was a little bit concerned that this movie might rely too much on nostalgia, or it's just trying to make you feel like you did when you were a kid and not really tell a story, but just remember how much you liked the Legos. And, again, it's much more layered than that. It does work, but it also does do that really well. One thing we all did when we were kids, playing with Legos, was stack a bunch of Legos on top of each other and then put a minifig on top of it and give them giant legs. Like, everybody did that.
Oh. I didn't know that.
I don't know if you've ever done that, but
No.
I love that tacos is an acronym.
Yeah.
This is the first big hint that there is an outside world at play.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
In all of these items that he's found. And you get this, with the big vortex, you get the sense that, okay, this is like on the fringe of, the outer fringe of the universe. And, but in the theater, I was still wondering, I was overthinking it. I was like, is it Legos that have somehow, like, seen, outside into, like, the real world, or are they part of a greater multiverse where our world is part of that, or is it simply a kid playing with action figures? And it turns out to be, or with Legos, and it turns out to be a combination of the first and the third thing.
Yes. I like that his helmet has cups on it.
Yeah.
Has red cups.
That's very funny.
Yeah.
And even as he's evil, he's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And of course, there's, again, a lot of parody of dystopian future stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is kind of sad.
Yeah. I love this part.
Does this kind of stuff not bother you at all? Like Jason, do you watch this just in the context of it's a comedy, so none of this is scary, or do you get like invested enough in what's going on that the idea of erasing their faces is kind of scary, or do you even think about it?
Yeah, I love when there's no good cop. But then they redo it.
Yeah, but like, but it's just scribbles.
Yeah.
I guess I'm remembering this wrong. Do they get their faces erased, right? Or do they? No, that's not what it is. I was forgetting this wrong. So he gets part of his other face erased, but the idea is that's right. But they get stuck because it's supposed to be a model instead of a toy.
Oh.
That's the whole idea. And business represents the anal retentiveness of this kid's father, who is building a model, building models, not playing with toys. And so he wants to glue everything down, and the kid wants everything to be loose and free so that he can create these worlds. And it's again about individuality. Hey, come and sit on me! I like all the different locales we go to in this movie because there were a lot of these different Lego sets when I was a kid that were from all these different places. So you'd have you'd have Old West sets like this. You'd have your space sets. I'm glad we got the Spaceman guy in there. That was. I don't think I had that minifig, but I had some spacemen like that, and you've got the you got pirates. Of course, you got to get that in there. It's fun that while we have some licensed stuff in this movie, we also go to the more generic, classic Lego stuff.
Yeah.
So. There are places where I kind of question what this kid seems to know, and I brought this up on the channel before and had people tell me that I'm way overthinking this, but I'm such a stickler for POV that we know that there's a kid behind all of this, and so anything that happens, it has to be the kid scripting it, even if it's all in his mind. So, there are certain lines of dialogue here and there that I feel like are maybe a little bit too sophisticated, but I'll give it to it because they're great. But I also question things like a silent movie inner title. Like, is this kid that cultured? I mean, that's fantastic if he is, but... So we'll talk about this when we get to Batman, but I have this theory about how this kid doesn't know anything about Batman, but knows a lot about Star Wars. He has this whole thing in the Batman song about how Batman lives in a basement. He seems to not even know that Batman has a Batcave. So I like to look for those clues in what this kid is aware of and how he understands the world. And there's a lot of, kind of unreliable narrator is not exactly the way to put it, but that's the closest device I can think of to what exactly is going on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's pretty funny.
I feel like I know people whose minds have to look like this.
Yeah.
And then I know people whose minds look more like Valerian in the City of a Thousand Planets.
Yeah. I love the things that show up.
Just the hilarious mundanity of his mind. I mean, he is basically a college dorm jock guy who just, drinks on the weekends, doesn't actually go to class.
I love that line.
He's just looking for buddies.
Yeah.
Except, it's a wholesome family film, so there's no alcohol involved, but...
My favorite line is, "That is literally the dumbest thing I have ever heard."
That was in the trailers.
Oh.
That's one of the things we sold this movie on.
Oh.
I think. I know the whole business with the double-decker couch. And you have the Lego double-decker couch.
Yes, I do.
I think that was a set by itself, was it not? Yeah, it was.
Yes.
It was a Lego set.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The double-decker couch. With him.
And Lord
Business.
President Business is on that.
Oh, he's in that set?
Yeah,
That's
he's
weird.
in that set.
Okay.
And he's going like, ah.
One of the things I really like about LEGO Dimensions continuing to use this material is whenever they have characters that are from this and not from other regular LEGO things, and of course they have a lot of properties that they make LEGO in the first place, they move like the characters in this. They do the stop motion thing. So Wildstyle looks like she's moving in stop motion.
Oh.
But regular Batman doesn't, but then the Lego Batman movie Batman does move that way.
Oh, yeah. And I love the whole thing where Wildfire and Batman are best friends.
I love the police light on the front of the horse.
Yeah.
I never get tired of the Old West joke. This was in... I saw this in the Muppet Show, or maybe it was a Sesame Street episode, I can't remember, but this is a thing that cartoons and kids things go do all the time that I never get tired of, where you have a picture of someone that has disguised themselves by taking off their most prevailing physical character trait, and then you draw it back on, and suddenly everyone recognizes them. So, oh, that guy had a mustache, but we don't see his mustache, so I don't recognize him. He has a hat, but we don't see his hat. So it was a Cookie Monster sketch. I don't know if you ever saw that, but there's a Cookie Monster sketch where he just, draws a mustache on the wanted poster, and nobody recognizes that it's him. It's fantastic.
Yeah, Bad Cop is, I think, my favorite character.
Really?
Yes.
I thought it was Wildstyle, and you seem to always be about the female protagonist.
Yeah. Well, Wildfire is my first favorite, and then Bad Cop is my second.
Jayson loves stories starring girls.
Yes.
I don't know why. It seems to be that seems to be a big constant throughout things. You like superhero girls a lot.
Yes. And
I'd say that's one of your favorite properties right now.
Yeah.
No? You've been watching the movies? Was that new movie any good? 'Cause I haven't watched that yet.
I haven't watched that either.
Oh, I thought you did.
Mm-mm.
Oh, okay. But you saw the first one.
Yep.
We're already blending the different settings. So we've got modern-day policemen in the middle of the Old West.
Mm-hmm. And even my best friends are girls.
Your best friends are girls.
All of them.
And you still love Phasma.
Yes.
It'll be interesting to see how much screen time Phasma gets in the new Star Wars movie.
Yes. I will love
I think
that.
they're going to overcompensate real hard. I think she's going to be all over that movie.
Yay.
Yay!
I need to read that comic.
I don't think it's dropped yet.
What?
But when it comes out, I'll be getting it. And you can read it. It was announced, but I don't think it started yet.
Oh.
Again, dating this commentary. And not talking about LEGO things right now. Speaking of Star Wars, though, the craze of licensed material in LEGO starts with Star Wars. And not just with video games. It was one of the first big properties, if not the first big property. I think it might have been, but I don't want to talk out of both sides of my face. But when I was a kid, I remember that being a really big deal when LEGO started putting out Star Wars things. And I think it might have been, the first one. And then it was a big deal when they finally started making Batman stuff. And that is the order that they did it in the video games, too. That the LEGO games start with Star Wars. And they have two of those before they start putting out other games. And then they do Batman, and then now we have an onslaught of just all kinds of stuff. And I think Indiana Jones was third. But anyway, it is really lucky that Star Wars gets a little cameo, I think, in this movie just to homage that. And that's where, again, the licensed stuff seems to start. So I'm really glad they were able to get that in there. And I was a little surprised by it since you've got so much Warner Brothers stuff in this movie. I wouldn't have thought, because Disney, of course, has already got the license at this point, I don't think that deal had been. Actually, now that I think about it, I'm trying to put this timeline together. I don't think that deal actually could have been fully put together yet. So maybe that wouldn't be possible now that I'm thinking about it.
Yeah.
Because this movie would have had to have been in development just shortly before that deal was struck. So I guess that's why that was possible. But it's still companies that don't have anything to do with each other and are rivals and, in competition kind of coming together to make that happen. It's not quite Roger Rabbit. It would be more like Roger Rabbit now, especially if you could put Marvel and DC superhero stuff together.
Yeah.
And even though, so you notice, even though Lego has the licenses for those things, for Marvel stuff, there's no Marvel stuff in this movie. It's just DC.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
And there's Lego Batman.
Mm-hmm.
Who I was concerned was going to take over the whole movie.
Yeah.
When this was first advertised, and I was really impressed by how much fun he is, and how ridiculous and over the top and outside of Batman's normal characterization they go with him, and even normal Lego Batman's characterization, which I talked about in the Lego Batman the movie, Superhero Rewind, the direct-to-video thing, but that he's also relegated to a side character and doesn't take over the whole thing.
Yeah. It's cool. I just realized this. The Batwing has the same writing. My favorite thing, Batman thing in this movie.
They're kind of the silhouette or the outline of the ship in the sun.
Is the same writing as the Lego Batman movie.
Oh, good call.
Batmobile.
Yeah. And they're using something really akin to the Nolan bat symbol there.
Yeah.
And of course, this Batmobile is very heavily patterned off of the Tumbler.
Yeah.
There's Batman's crazy subwoofers. This song just killed me in the theater.
Yeah.
No parents! See, these are things that this kid knows about. He knows that Batman is an orphan and has no parents. Because, like everybody, he knows that Batman's parents were murdered, and that's why he's Batman. But that's about where his Batman knowledge begins and ends. He knows there's a Batmobile, but he's also got the Lego Batmobile, so, I mean, like, that's not knowledge, he just has it. Mm-hmm. But he has Batman pieces, but you notice, that is a crazy, custom, nutso tank Batmobile. That, like I said, we're clearly inspired a little bit by, I guess a lot, by the Tumbler, but that's not a thing that you could have gone out and bought then. It's still this kid with his individual imagination making up his own crazy nutso Batmobile. And then we have Life then imitating art, because you have to sell this as a big commercial thing, and so then those sets do become available. So this kid's imagination ends up being what you're making sets out of. So there are then instructions for things we can go out and buy that are supposed to be of vehicles and buildings and things that he created with his own individuality. And I think that is really fun and kind of interesting.
I thought it was with the instructions, though.
Well, no, that's a master build. The Batmobile's totally a master build.
Oh.
And the master build is a code word for the kid using his own brain and making up his own things.
Oh.
Unikitty is a genius metaphor, I think. And I don't want to oversell my love for this movie, but there's a lot of really inspired ideas in this.
Superman.
There's Superman. I wish they would just make Lego BVS. I really do. Yes. But anyway, the Unikitty is a brilliant metaphor for the kid who has to bury his emotions deep because his parents won't let him act out his feelings and really feel and do. Arguably, some of that lashing out that you have to do as you're growing up in order to develop and grow and find yourself and figure out what those boundaries are.
Yeah. There's Michelangelo, even though they don't have the license anymore. There are a couple minifigs in this sequence that I wonder if you can buy. I'm assuming they're all real things. The Statue of Liberty, is that a minifig that you can get? Or that you at one time could get? Because there's definitely some classic stuff here. Part of the reason that you had to make the dad an obsessive... There's the ghost.
Really anal retentive... Yeah, and the ghost goes all the way back. But really anal retentive Lego collector is so you can have all this stuff here.
Yeah. Yeah, and everybody knows that.
I think Chris Pratt is a really good voice actor. I think he modulates just a little bit. It sounds like him. You can tell it's him, especially now that he's a mega movie star, and I've seen him in a bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
But he's certainly affecting a voice to a point.
Yeah.
There's
Metalbeard's first appearance is really funny. Do we ever see him later?
Metalbeard?
Yeah.
Well, no, we don't see him little because he's had to. He explains. He's about. Well, I think he does his flashback montage later. No, it's right here. I love his flashback montage. It's great, but that's him little, and then he's gonna lose his body and have to create this big giant robot body.
Yeah, and he has a shark.
Yeah.
Projectile thing.
Which is also part of the identity thing this movie is doing, I think, where he loses himself and he has to put himself back together, and that informs who he is thereafter. The think tank. This is just the most insightful little kid.
Yes. Yes. And
Jayson, I want to see your Lego movie. I want to see you like what the story would be that you would put together. If you just took a whole bunch of Legos and other toys and things.
Yes. I would do that.
One thing Jayson is currently trying to write a novel.
Yes.
And one of the things that I noticed looking at your work, Jayson, is that naturally kids like to, this maybe goes without saying, but kids like to use whatever they see in their everyday life, and that and they like to be inspired. They allow themselves to be inspired by things regardless of copyright infringement, and they're not concerned with, oh, I'm not allowed to use this, because they're not thinking about copyright law and all that kind of stuff. And so that's of course the thing that this kid is doing. He takes all these things where he's not concerned about publication, and of course he's also not writing it down. He's just playing it in his mind, so it's different.
Right.
But that is kind of an interesting thing with this movie, that you've got this kid that's building on all these things that have come before, but he's making it unique in his own again.
Yeah.
And that's how art works.
Mm-hmm.
Did you notice the crash test dummy?
No.
There's a minifig that looks like a crash test dummy. I think that's what it's supposed to be.
That's funny. Abraham Lincoln. I don't know why. We already have a president. Why should Abraham Lincoln be in there?
I wondered if Abraham Lincoln... just because he's got all these crazy minifigs laying around. I wondered if... and this is probably stretching things a little bit, but I wondered when I saw this if somebody working on this movie had seen the Savage Curtain from original series, because you have Abraham Lincoln in space floating in a chair. It's not a rocket chair.
Yeah. I love Bad Cop. I love that Bad Cop has that thing.
And of course they're just flying around destroying originality.
Yeah.
They make Cloud Cuckoo Land a really cool, if not somewhat disturbing place, at least with Unikitty. And then we blow it up. That is a brilliant joke. I wish they hadn't ruined that joke in the trailer with Wonder Woman's invisible jet.
Yeah.
Or we blow up what looks like nothing.
Yeah.
They were ready for that.
And it's that song. Dun, 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 dun.
Yeah, and that also never gets old. That is often really funny. I hope we do more stuff with socially awkward Green Lantern down the road. I kind of expected him to be somewhere in the Lego Batman movie. Does he make a cameo in that somewhere? I think maybe he does, and I just don't remember it. But I thought they might actually... Oh, yeah, they do, because they couldn't have done much more with him, because they put all of the Justice League in one scene, and he's in that scene. That's where he is. I forgot about the guy banging his head against the wall.
Oh, I didn't know.
Oh, look at the unicorn on fire. That's so sad.
Yeah. My favorite place is Clyde Cougarland.
Yeah?
Yeah.
One of the things that's really impressive with this movie, too, is that everything is made of Lego.
Yes.
And, of course, I mean, it's computer animated, so you can make everything look any way you want to, but like, we're so used to animating water and what the physics would be of that now. It's impressive to do it in Lego, because you have to create a whole new type of physics. And for fire, and...
Yeah. I thought it was,
You can't just render a background. I mean, like, everything has to be rendered.
I thought there were 4, in the team.
In the team?
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
In Unikitty, Benny, Batman, Wired Sire, and Emmett.
That's 5.
Oh, that's 5.
I don't know, but why are we quibbling over the number?
I don't know.
Like, did someone say something about a number, or?
No.
Okay. I just wasn't sure why we were talking about that.
Yeah. It just came up.
Uh-oh.
In my hand.
He finally had an idea.
Oh, no. Who did?
Emmett.
Oh.
Well, I like that Emmett's, and we talked over it earlier, but that Emmett's first original creative idea is use his head as a spoke.
Yeah.
That's in the Old West, right? We're already past that.
Yes.
There's a real progression with him and his character arc in finally learning how to think for himself and have some imagination and some critical thinking skills. Where he does, it would have been really easy to just have him be a dunderhead the whole movie, and then flip a light switch, and all of a sudden he's able to. He's a master builder. We really build toward it, and a lot of the comedy with this character comes from the way that we're building toward it.
Yeah.
You know, it's baby steps.
Oh.
Okay, so once we're underwater, it's actually water, but there would be no way to render that. Like, it has to be liquid, right? It's fun that when you're on the surface of it, it's like, you know, blocky Legos.
Yeah, I love Unikitty being mad. She turns red.
And as I said, I think it's just an inspired idea, and now she's suddenly having to deal with her emotions and doesn't know what to do because she's just lost her world.
Yeah.
And she's used to bearing everything.
Yeah.
See, he has cups on his couch, just like Lord Business has on his head.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. See, they're just not so different after all, Jayson.
Yeah. Uh-oh.
The walls are crying is a great line.
Yes.
I love how we get in each of these characters' heads, and that they have a different voice and a different perspective.
Yeah.
And it's not all too one note, but I really like that this really unique worldview that Unikitty has.
This is one of the movies where I have a favorite line in every scene.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
It's a great script.
Yeah. Yeah. This is not how Batman dies is really funny.
Yeah, and of course, if you probed this version of Batman, and now we've lived with him longer and we know him better, and you asked him, well, how does Batman die? He would say, well, I don't buy, 'cause I'm Batman.
Yeah.
Lego Shack is just great.
I wish Catwoman would be in here.
I wish we had more Lego Shack.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that that shot where it goes. Dun, 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 dun,
And obviously this kid has just decided that Superman is not as powerful as Superman should be. Because there's really no reason that he should be held like this, but this kid makes all the rules. I think every new character in this movie, when I say new character, I mean obviously all the licensed characters are also kind of new characters because they're, original personalities for those characters. Again, from this kid's perspective, but everybody's memorable. Everybody seems like a classic character to me. Now, to be fair, it like that thing would float, but I feel like it would tip over. I feel like it would have already fallen over. Jason's real engrossed in this movie right now.
Yeah, it's because I love this part.
Are you just sucked into the water effects, or?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean it's brilliant. It's just gorgeous. This movie looks incredible on a big screen.
Yeah.
I think it was a thing where I was like, it's a cool idea to try to do kind of a stop motion Lego movie, but what's that gonna look like on a movie theater screen? And am I gonna get nauseous looking at it? Was kind of a worry I had, and I didn't. And it's quite a spectacle. It's quite a technical achievement. And of course, we went even farther with it with Lego Batman.
Yeah.
I'm on the fence, and I wouldn't mind people's advice in the comments about this. I'm on the fence, Jason, about whether or not this movie should count for Superhero Rewind. Because, yeah, it's a movie with Batman in it, but it's not exactly a superhero movie.
They're on a mission to save the piece of resistance.
That's true. And so Emmett does end up being a hero, but he's not exactly a superhero. We have superheroes in this movie, and there are all kinds of movies where we have a mission like that wouldn't count as superhero things.
Well, it's like Batman. I mean, Batman is not a superhero. He's a hero, but not a superhero.
Well, and that's debatable, because sometimes it comes down to just a costume.
Yeah. I mean, he has a lot of really, really cool gadgets, but
he doesn't have superpowers.
Yeah. And Emmett doesn't have superpowers.
Yeah, although I would argue that he kind of ends up having a superpower, which is being able to perceive the real world and having consciousness bestowed upon him. We'll talk about that when we get there, because that is a bit where I can't decide if the movie goes too far, and it's fascinating, and I'm glad it's there because I thought about it for hours.
Yeah.
So Wild Style is also New Power Rangers Rita Repulsa.
Yeah.
Did you know that?
No.
That's who that voice is.
Oh.
In a spaceship. But I would love to see the Bat Rainbow Sparkle spaceship. I'd love to see those things put together.
Yeah.
It might have been cool to see like one of these characters show up and be part of the supporting cast for the Lego Batman movie. But, and we'll talk about this, I guess, later on in the commentary and the rewind for that, but there's also kind of, there's our Star Wars bit. There's kind of a question as to whether or not it's the same kid dealing with both, but one would have to pass this idea down to the other one because Batman's characterized the same way.
Yeah. I love the Star Wars part. I love the Star Wars part. It's It's great.
That is Billy D. Williams voicing Lando there.
Oh my gosh.
The Millennium Falcon is a party ship, and that's hysterical.
Yeah.
But I get the sense that this kid knows more. Is a Star Wars kid.
Yes.
Before he's a superhero kid. I will text you. And again, I'm reading far too into this when I say this, but keep in mind, there's no real, actual Batman theme that plays when Batman shows up, but we do get the Star Wars theme when the Star Wars people show up.
Yeah. Yeah,
It's all in the kid's mind.
Yeah. I actually am working on my 3rd chapter in my book.
Oh, cool. That's good.
Yep. It's called Of Curse World.
Of Curse World.
Of Curse World.
Do you have any Lego mentions?
I will.
Of course.
I have a Dalek.
Of Curse is a joke that Jason and I have going all the way back. Full disclosure, so we don't have this inside joke. You guys know. Oh yeah, and the sandworm thing, or the space worm thing coming up. Was another thing that made me go, oh, he knows Star Wars better than he knows Batman. But Jason used to pronounce, of course, of curse, and I just always thought that was hilarious, and we can't stop saying it now.
Yeah.
And then we play Mario Maker, and it has Course World, and we call it Of Curse World.
Yeah. It's really funny. Yeah. And the story says, oh wait for it, of course for it. Yeah.
Anyway, so here's the first try joke, which we sold the movie on. And I really appreciated that line didn't show up anywhere in the Lego Batman movie. We continued selling it with that, and we did... I thought one of the things that was really smart in selling that movie was all of the original footage that we did. At least in the teasers, I think there was maybe there was only one or two. I say all the original. Maybe there's just one or two. But there's a bit in that where he does the first try thing, and I was like, oh, are we just gonna repeat all the good Batman jokes from this movie? And I happily did not end up doing that. So, do you still like the Everything Is Awesome song?
Yes. It's great.
There's a couple of cool versions of it.
Yes.
And when you listen to the Lego movie soundtrack, that song is going to really get stuck in your head because there's at least 2, if not 3 versions of it on that soundtrack.
I love that. I love that. Everything is awesome. One version.
The best is the acoustic unplugged version.
Huh?
And I think we get it at the end of the credits. I forget. We'll see when we get there.
Yeah.
Who's Bruce Wayne? So obviously, we don't have the full-blown Lego Batman mythology worked out yet because in the Lego Batman movie, he kind of pretends to be Bruce Wayne in order to function as Batman, but it's not inconsistent or retroactive or anything because this is just a kid making up stuff as he goes along, so it all works.
Yeah, I love Unikitty with glasses.
Yeah.
That's pretty funny. Wired Siren Emma having other masks on, robot masks on. It's really fun. That's really funny too. This movie is just everything is
awesome. Everything is awesome.
Everything is funny.
Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Everything is funny. Everything is amusing when you're part of a team.
I like that they have a cross.
They have tinfoil on their faces, trying to pretend to be robots. From downstairs.
Yeah.
I think this movie is gonna age well. one thing I really appreciate about it is that even though Legos are well known and really familiar, and arguably, it's not original in the sense that it's not something that was completely made up in the first place, because we're going to Lego, we're deriving stuff from the decades of Lego history, but it's not a reboot of something. It's not even, and the story is, of course, entirely original. And so I think this is going to be one of the few really truly original things that Jayson, your generation is going to have in its lexicon of being a thing that wasn't based on anything from my generation, from prior generations, and but besides the fact that, again, it's adapting toy material into a movie, but as a story, it is a completely original thing.
Mm-hmm. I love the
for some kids, it's gonna be like your generation's Toy Story, I think.
Yes.
And of course, like with so many things, your generation's Toy Story will be whatever the Toy Story was you watched growing up. But I mean, as an original thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like your generation Star Wars is Star Wars, but then you also have some other space epics and things.
Yeah.
Right now, mostly just Guardians, but we'll see. We're recording this the weekend Valerian came out. We'll see how that does.
Yeah. When are you going to show me to Valerian?
Oh, we can try to go this weekend if we have time.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah.
Really dated commentary.
Yeah.
I like that they're having this really intimate conversation with foil on their faces.
Yeah.
I also really love the impossibility of some of the physics, where like you take off a hat and you have that hair underneath, but you didn't have that hair underneath. And you notice, like, we always come off camera or we block it with our hands.
Yeah.
Because it's the kid taking somebody's hair off and putting the hat on real fast. And so you can imagine what the kid playing with the toys is thinking, and how he's imagining it, or what he's actually looking at versus what he's imagining, which is what we're seeing.
Yeah.
And that's part of why I think it's not a cheat to make it to not actually do stop motion animation, and to make it faux stop motion inside of a computer, because it's a blend of what the kid would be seeing versus what's in his imagination. And so there are things that he would be coming up with that he's seeing in his own mind's eye that you just couldn't do in stop motion. So that would actually be too limiting for the kind of story they're trying to tell.
Yeah.
One of my favorite ideas in this is laser sharks. And also just the line delivery of laser sharks!
Yeah. Laser sharks!
You've also read the young adult novel based on this movie.
Yes.
I can't really imagine how this translates to prose.
Yeah.
Is it good?
Yeah. I've also read the Big Hero 6 young adult novel.
Does that novel have, with the Lego movie, and I'm sure I know the answer to this, but does it have anything that's not in this movie? Or is it all just verbatim the movie put in prose?
It's just the movie.
Okay. I also think it was really smart not to introduce Batman until the beginning of the second act. So that we're already invested and enjoying this world on its own terms before it introduces something really familiar. I think it was a really smart business move. Business. I think it was a really smart business move to put Batman in this in order to sell it, but then he also ends up being a really fun supporting character, and he totally serves this material, again, rather than totally stealing the show.
Yeah.
Did you notice that the door that opens there has the TOS door swish sound?
Oh, I didn't notice that.
And we do that with a lot of sci-fi parody. Just whenever a door will open, it will have that sound.
That's funny.
Action Vitruvius.
Yeah. That's really funny. He has a shield.
One of the funniest bits in this is going to be when he gets killed and we have Ghost Vitruvius.
Yes.
Oh, he just lost his head.
Yeah.
And see, that's hysterical, and I like that we're willing to go that far, that we have his head rolling across the floor, because I realize it's just an action figure, and its head pops off, and it doesn't have gore or anything, but it's, the idea of a head coming off, and these are supposed to be, for all intents and purposes, like real characters that we care about, like to the kid in his mind, he's probably thinking like, this is really sad, this is really horrific. And just because we try to censor that kind of stuff in kids fiction doesn't mean that children don't imagine those things happening. And if I mean, I know when I was a kid, when I was playing with action figures, bad things would happen to characters. There are consequences to violence. And so I love that we're allowed to put that in there. It's also hilarious.
Yeah.
So it's not graphic, but within the context for these characters, it sort of is.
Yeah. Lord Business's conversation with Emmett here is really funny.
Yeah, and continues to give us a lot of clues about what's really going on behind the scenes. Because this whole movie is defining this relationship between a father and a son that we don't even know exist.
Yeah.
And so it's all about this power struggle of people who want to feel significant, who want to feel special.
There's the crack.
100 Mississippi.
Yes.
It's fun to finally watch this with subtitles, because there's actually some jokes here and there that I'm picking up that even after 4 or 5 viewings I've never noticed before. Such a dense movie, so much stuff that you pick up on repeat viewings. Both in dialogue, because I mean this is a joke every 10 or 20 seconds kind of movie, both visually and in the spoken dialogue. And so on.
And so on. I didn't...
You can
I
catch
don't remember that.
And that's another big clue. The couple of times, and we don't do it very often, that you get like a two-dimensional perspective and you see something that seems like just like a kid built it. So occasionally we'll get out of his mind's eye and we'll see something more akin to what he's actually seeing, except we never actually see his hands pick up anything. I don't think there's ever his physical hands ever intrude on the screen, do they?
Yeah. That's the funniest part.
What's the funniest part?
He's salivating and then he's like now everybody say freeze. It's really funny.
Yeah, and I like this idea that there's no way Lord Business can ever fully get what he wants, because he has to, because he's trying to steal these people's individuality from them and make them, and make them statues. Mm-hmm. And there's no way to force them to look happy about it. So all he's going to get is this perversion of what he wants, which is people looking like they were freaking out and screaming and about to die whenever he glues them down. And there's Ghost Vitruvius, who's on a string. We could have done a little more of that kind of thing in this, because we do have places where there would be strings or hands or something, and we don't take them out because they were never there in the first place, but essentially it's like we took them out, and I guess here we just decided it was too funny to not keep the string in.
Yeah. I don't remember this part, what he said in this part, because I was so little.
This is also one of the better examples I've ever seen of a movie with the kind of standard, obligatory, you just have to believe in yourself message. A lot of the time that comes off as really superficial and overly simplified, and sometimes comes off even like we're telling kids that they're just fine the way they are and they don't need to ever try to improve themselves, which is detrimental. This movie's not saying that, and I like the idea that if you it's kind of a fake it if you make it thing. If you believe you're special, you become special because you figure out your potential.
Yeah.
It's not denial. It's realizing that it's getting past your own personal hang-ups and realizing that there actually is something that unique about you that you can use to your advantage. And we get in our own ways. I mean, telling yourself you're special and then that ultimately translating into getting something done works for exactly the same reason that telling yourself you're not special is a deterrent to accomplishing anything. The Mississippi countdown thing never gets old.
Yeah.
See, that kid probably has played hide and seek with his friends. And that's why he's counting Mississippis.
Yeah.
It's nuts that we're this far into the movie before we've had the Will Ferrell reveal.
Yeah.
Look how old Benny is.
Yeah.
Like his the logo on the front of his uniform is starting to fade because that's such an old minifig.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Chances are, that's a minifig that this guy's dad, had when he was a kid in Cab.
Yeah.
1980 something technology.
Mm-hmm.
And everything pays off, right?
Right. Yeah.
So we had that where my pants thing at the beginning on the TV, and now we actually go to the set.
Yeah.
And I also like that that's where she is when she gives the speech.
Yeah.
Because that's a big part of the Lord Business's brainwashing.
Yeah. Oh, why did he have?
That's part of the make everybody exactly the same plan, and she's saying you're all special in some way. Why
does Benny now have a red suit? Benny had a red suit.
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah.
I didn't. I wasn't paying
TV.
attention.
He had a red suit.
Oh, okay.
That is really funny. Really weird.
Business, impressively, also is a sympathetic antagonist before we even see what the inspiration for him is with Will Ferrell's dad character.
Lord Business.
Business. It ain't nobody's business.
Yeah. It ain't nobody's Lord Business.
That is one of Jason's favorite Michael Jackson songs.
Yeah.
Ain't nobody's business.
Ain't nobody's biscuits.
Those skeleton drones, those robot skeleton drones, seem really influenced by Terminator to me.
Yeah.
There's something kind of creepy about the pinned-on face for Good Cop.
Why?
I don't know. There's something creepy about drawn-on pen talking to you.
Oh, yeah.
And finally, he gets to build a spaceship. I love this bit.
Yeah.
I like this kind of 80s computer sound.
Oh, my favorite! My favorite part.
Stuff in the soundtrack there.
Bam!
Spaceship!
I can say it really good.
Jayson, what is the coolest original Lego thing you've ever built?
Ooh, probably those Star Wars drones.
You built Star Wars drones?
Where Star Wars, like runners,
I'm not sure what you're talking about.
There's a guy.
Were they
and
like
then
pod racers or?
Yeah, pod racers.
No, but I mean like things you created yourself that you came up with,
Oh,
like original things.
Where I built a weird microphone.
Oh, cool! You built a weird microphone.
Yeah.
Did you build a double-decker couch?
No.
Yes, you did.
I
You
mean,
bought
yes.
it, and then.
Yes.
So I was just so enamored with this idea in the theater. I wasn't expecting this at all. With all the clues, it does a fantastic job of telegraphing this without giving me too much. Where it's one of those things where it all comes together as opposed to I was anticipating this. And I feel like I've talked to a couple people that sort of expected something like this, but I don't think. I doubt if anybody thought it was going to go this far. I'm also impressed that we managed to go to the theater and not know that there were any live action portions to this. I don't think that was leaked anywhere, but I wasn't following this production real closely or anything, so it may be that somebody knew that. Also, really glad, and this goes without saying, that we were smart enough not to use any of this in the advertising, because this needs to be the reveal that it is. It's a little bit of a mind bender. It's really cool. And it's also so simple. I mean, I love when we, and I talked about this earlier, but when we finally discover that this whole story is about a man and his son, and all the big overarching ideas about what's wrong with modern day society all boil down to just this relationship. And Will Ferrell is wonderful. He's as great here with this bit as he is as the voice of Lord Business.
Yeah.
I also like how kind of nerdy and out of touch he is, where he's a businessman. That's why he came up with Lord Business, and he's doing pretty well for himself financially, but he seems hilariously a little bit out of touch. Like, all you see before you. Who talks like that? It kind of is. It's kind of a toy. No, it's a highly sophisticated interlocking brick system. But we bought it at the toy store. This exchange is just brilliant. I like that we instantly understand why this kid feels the way he does. Like all the ideas of this are coming together in the scene, and yet I don't dislike Will Ferrell's dad. He's just he's a guy who's trying to hang on to his childhood through his Lego collection, and yet he's forgotten what being a child was like and what it was all about. I also like that this movie is so much about what we parents learn from our children. And I think I had to have kids before this movie could speak to me the way that it did.
Yeah. It's cool that he has more crackers.
Yeah, well, yeah, because well, of course, and they're not Kraggles, they're super glue bottles. And so the big question, of course, there's this really fascinating existential idea that, again, I think we take maybe a little bit too far, but like I said, it's so interesting. I'm kind of glad it's here, which is Emmett starts to move around like he's actually got a real personality and a soul, and the only explanation for that is that the kid's imagination transcends physics, transcends science, and that, like I said earlier, that speaks to the notion of the like characters becoming so real to us that they almost really are real. And of course, I don't buy into the idea that could really happen in real life, but of course this part of this is still, of course, a fiction, and I kind of like the idea that if there was such a thing as magic, that's where it comes from. But the Lego world we've been watching the whole movie still continues to move on without Emmett, as he's come out of, through the portal, which is just a tube, and you wonder where was he the whole time? I mean, like all those characters are all, in the model right there. If one of them came back over here, just to this side of the room, would this happen to them? And I think it's because, and I don't think so. I think the idea is supposed to be that Emmett is so, he's the stand-in for the kid, and the kid, puts so much of himself in that character that's why he's the character that becomes kind of real. Do you remember Vitruvius's line about the cat poster?
No.
It sounds like a cat poster. That's the thing I had to. Even though they remind us about it by showing us the poster and having Vitruvius say that line again.
Yeah.
It took me a couple times to watch this before I noticed where that happens at the beginning, or toward the beginning.
Oh.
It's such a tight script. It's really, it's an incredibly impressive piece of work in how cohesive it is.
Yeah.
And just all these things that pay off that I'm not even wondering about.
Yeah.
What is he talking about when he says a cat poster? And then when Emmett has those flashes to the room at the beginning, he flashes to the cat poster. And you actually see some live-action stuff happening, but I'm not expecting to get to that live-action sequence, and I'm not processing it right. Because it just seems like a bunch of random disparate images. So that's also the expectations of these kinds of movies, where I'm used to scenes like that being just a bunch of random disparate images. Here it's smarter than that.
Yeah.
And once again, Jason's just sucked in and watching the movie now.
Well,
if you're wondering why I've been talking this long, it's because Jason is just really glued to this movie.
Well,
he's real craggled to this movie.
There's a lot of fighting in this scene.
That's right, Jason.
Yeah.
There sure is.
Yeah. It's cool that he's in a. It's cool that he's in a robot, a giant robot.
And it's some of the most impressive animation in the piece, because of course there's just so much going on. It's wonderfully highly detailed. One thing that I always marvel about with these Lego productions is the idea that you have to make every set, every vehicle, and even some characters and of course buildings, all the architecture, something that you could really build out of Lego. So you don't just draw a building. You have to think about all the pieces that go into it. You have to essentially create a Lego set
Yeah.
For each of those things, and it looks so tedious. It's just remarkable to me, especially in video games. That you have all these levels that would have all these elements that would have to make sense as Lego sets that you build from one piece up to a couple hundred pieces or more. Power of the special. That sounds dumb.
Yeah. I like this this moment when Emmett just has this weird conversation.
Just so many ideas in this movie that speak to me on a real personal level.
Yeah.
There's not a lot about this movie I don't like, Jason. I mean, I have very few criticisms. Really borders on masterpiece for me. And then it's funny putting those words together, talking about a Lego thing. Master builder and piece of resistance.
Yeah.
It's a master builder piece, Jason.
Yeah.
Yeah. One thing I wonder is if some of the sets here were built specifically custom for this movie, or if they made a lot of the merchandise before they shot the live action scenes. Like, I would imagine this is the last stuff they made. I would figure they had all the animation, and I don't know, I actually haven't watched the special features for this yet. I should do that. But I would imagine that all the animation was done before they shot this. Because this really strikes me as a, like, you know, even maybe shooting post-production kind of thing.
Yeah.
Again, the things that we fathers learn from our sons. I was talking earlier about the layered ways you can watch this movie. I can see this film speaking as much or more to a kid as it does to me. I mean, you can put yourself in different stages in life in the bodies of some of these characters.
Yeah. 'Cause he's a president. That's why he's most interesting.
Is that why? Because he's a president? Is that why?
Yeah.
Well, you'll understand when you're older, kid. But yeah, I mean, there of course they have to be a lot of, especially in this day and age, a lot of kids that have this kind of relationship with their dad, because we live in this really pop culture infused universe where you know geekdom is in and is accepted and okay. And you'd think, you know, if you were this guy's son, how cool would it be to have a dad that has all these Legos? Oh, but you're not allowed to play with them.
Yeah.
And he's systematic about it. He thinks the same way about his toys as he does about his job.
Yeah.
And about the things that he does at work. And as an adult, as a parent, it makes me kind of take a good hard look at myself and the way I'm raising my kid, and this made me tear up in the theater. I haven't watched this in a while. This is getting to me right now. And I know not everybody has the same experience I do with this movie, but it hit me hard. It was a lot like Days of Future Past. It's not. I mean, not in the same place, but it just hit me in such a personal place. I asked you earlier if you liked this or the Lego Batman movie better, and I love the Lego Batman movie for a lot of different reasons, and especially just all the homages and the tribute to Batman history. But this is certainly the better story, by quite a bit. He's the hero you deserve. We're obviously looking at Nolan there, already doing some of those kinds of homages. And again, this, looking at the point of view of this kid, this is a kid that doesn't seem to know Batman that well, but he's probably seen the Nolan films.
Well, I only know one of the reasons.
I liked Emmett before it was cool. Is also a great line. I'm sorry, what were you saying?
I only know why. One of the things why you like the Lego Batman movie more.
No, I don't like it more. I like this movie more. That's what I'm saying. Or at least on a story level. I think it's a better story. Entertainment factor, I don't know, they might be right on par.
I mean,
But what were you going to say?
I mean, you love Batman.
I love Batman. But I also get some Batman in this.
Right. And we get some funnier Batman
Here come the Duplos. I wonder if they'll ever do anything with that. That seemed like a setup for some amusing things for a sequel.
Yeah.
I could see kind of a disaster movie.
Yeah.
I can see what happens if you let the kids go too far.
Who's Ferrell?
He's one of the writers of this movie. He and Miller, were directing the Han Solo movie, and they've been kicked off of it.
What?
Because apparently it was too improv-y, and they weren't sticking to the script. And they weren't giving Disney quite what they thought they were giving them, so they've had to bring on a different director. They brought Ron Howard on.
Oh.
And that's going to be really interesting. Again, dating this commentary.
Cool.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what that's going to be like, but I understand why Disney might have had to have done that. I still don't get why they allowed it to get to the place it got to before that happened. I mean, they were weeks into shooting. But I hope that doesn't end up like spelling the end of these guys' career. I imagine they'll just go back to making things like this.
Yeah.
But I suppose we'll see. Jason, have you given any thought to ever trying your hand at... There's a Lego taco.
Yeah.
Have you ever thought about trying out stop-motion animation?
Yes. Actually.
Do you know what I mean? Where you take figures and you shoot them frame by frame. You slightly move the figures so that you're creating the illusion of movement.
No.
Okay, I'll show you how to do that sometime. It's very tedious, but it could be a lot of fun. I haven't done any of that in a long time, and I made movies like that in high school. They were no good, and no, I have no intention of showing them to anyone. But there's also some copyrighted material that I think would make it difficult to post online. But I'm sorry. What?
Well, they're the only like animated stuff you can do, right?
What do you mean?
Can you do like more? Like animated stuff that's not
me personally. Well, I don't have those skills. I mean, I could learn.
Right.
We certainly know people who can.
You.
Dan's News and Sid Part 2. Those are guys that can make animation.
You're a really good editor.
Oh, thanks, man. I do my best.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm not really an art guy. So even if I learned how to do animation, I would have difficulty making things look good.
I know somebody who is really, really, really good at art and can do anything.
Really? Who's that?
Rio, one of
your friends?
Best friends.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. She's really good at...
Her name is Rio.
Yes. Yes.
I played Jason that song the day I learned that his friend's name was Rio, and he just lost his mind.
Yes. Yes. No, she is, she's a really good, art person.
So, these are some pretty lengthy closing credits, because obviously it took 1,000,001 people to make this movie, and as we always do, we'll watch all the way through this and talk a little bit about, especially some soundtrack stuff, probably.
Yeah.
Because isn't there a Batman song in the credits? Don't we hear, like, the rest of the Batman song?
I think so.
Yeah, and then I think there's an acoustic "Everything Is Awesome" at the end, which, like I said, is my favorite variation on that. I think it's great.
Yeah.
I wish Johnny Cash were still alive.
Ah, yeah.
See if they could have paid Johnny Cash enough money to do the acoustic Johnny Cash "Everything Is Awesome."
Yes.
I don't think he would have done it, but it would have been just the best thing.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Been on a real Johnny Cash kick lately, Jason.
I've been on a really good Weird Al kick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You never fully come away from a Weird Al kick, though.
Yeah.
There's always a little bit of that there.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's maybe a little bit surprising that Weird Al wasn't asked to do any music for this.
Yeah.
This would have potentially been a good place for him. He did do the theme for Captain Underpants. Yeah, here comes Batman's song.
What?
Yeah, I haven't seen that, but
I didn't know that.
Groundbreaking.
Yeah.
Here comes the Batman song. Darkness.
Yeah.
No, parents. I'm glad we got the rest of this.
Get it?
The opposite of light. You see, this is where I get off saying this kid doesn't know anything about Batman. It begins and ends with his parents got murdered, and he's brooding, and he's got gadgets. That's what he knows.
Yeah.
Other places that are dark. I also thought they were going to overdo the Batman songs in the Lego Batman movie, and they don't, which is really nice.
I wish this song was in the Lego Batman movie.
I was kind of glad that they didn't feel the need to reuse it. And then here comes the acoustic. Everything is awesome. This just cracks me up. It's
Yeah.
wonderful.
It's just so slow.
Yeah, it's hysterical.
Yeah.
So now this is going to be stuck in my head for another month.
My favorite one is the Hard Rock
Oh, I
one.
forgot about this harmony bit.
Oh, yeah.
You got these gospel ladies just singing their heart out.
Yeah. My favorite version is the Hard Rock one. When these guys are crazy singing it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One thing that's really impressive about this song is that it reflects where the world is at the beginning and the end of the film. So it has a message with scary connotations, and then when you look at it through the lens of where we are at the end of the movie, it has different connotations and more altruistic connotations.
Who's Clathine Family?
Must have been somebody who worked on this movie who passed, because that was in memory of. We can look that up real quick and find out before we finish off here. Kathleen Fleming.
Oh, she was in cancer.
She had
cancer.
She was, oh wow, director of entertainment development at Lego.
Oh.
So she wasn't a movie person. She was, well, I guess she was, but she was head of Lego Entertainment, which means she might have had a lot to do with getting some of the really great Lego projects greenlit that we like a lot. I'm glad you asked about that because I never thought to look that up.
Yeah.
Well, folks, thanks a lot for listening. Hope you enjoyed it. And Jayson, did you have fun doing that?
Yeah.
I really enjoyed going back and watching that movie again and finally getting some of my thoughts out.
Me too.
And of course, we did a spoiler cast when that movie came out, but looking at it scene to scene, there a whole bunch of stuff came back to me that I've always wanted to have a place to talk about. So I'm glad we did that. And down the road, there may be a rewind on that movie. I probably have pretty much said everything I would have to say about it at this point, but I might consider it, especially if folks think that it's close enough to a superhero movie that I should do a rewind. I'm on the fence about it. So anyway, once again, thanks for listening, and we will see you again with more content this week here on Geekvolution. I am Captain Logan.
And I'm Jayson.
See you later, folks.
I'm Jayson.
And I'm Captain Logan.
See you later.
Geekvolution.
Darkness.
We have parents.
We have the